Ambassador Timothy Holt adjusted his scalar, feeling the weight of his role pressing down with every step toward. Thelian Assembly Hall, the vast metallic structure of Vero, gleamed in the alien twilight, a testament to the technological dominance of the Galactic Empire today. However, that dominance would be tempered, he hoped, by diplomacy. Timothy had been through countless negotiations across the galaxy, but the Empire had always stood out for its disdain of humankind, was keenly aware of the thin linetween symbols etched in glimmering patterns. His escort's silent-tanned stoneface gestured him toward a platform where the supreme envoy affix awaited, tall and clad in dark robes. That shimmered with a faint energy. Iflix projected a presence that was both mesmerizing and menacing. Ambassador Holtix's voice echoed through the hall, cold and formal. The Galactic Empire welcome his ear. The emphasis on efforts was lost on Timothy, but he kept his expression neutral. The human alliance is grateful for the opportunity to forge a path forward, Envoy Eags, he replied, choosing his words carefully. It is time. Work together to ensure a future without bloodshed. Ix's thin lips curved into what could have been a smile. It held no warmth indeed. It is stem that our differences are resolved in, and for all. Timothy could feel the intensity of the Empire's representist. Something of Boothus felt wrong. They launched into formed discussions, and the diplomatic dance began. Timothy presented humanity's vision of mutual respect and cooperation, of the skepticism radiating from Thex and his aides. Still he pressed on detailing the benefits of a shared galaxy. Appealing to reason, to prosperity, peace. For a moment, ethics seemed Tolleson, his expression softening. Thoas' gaze remained coldly analytic, listening words and bad trilly. Noble just. As Timothy felt a flicker of hope, Ix's tone shifted, hardening. But you misunderstand. Who's Ambassador Holt? The Empire does not negotiate from a place of fear or need. Humanity is not our equal. You are retaliated, not embraced. Timothy's heart pounded the foreboding. Now a siren in his mind. Surely the Empire recognizes the strength of alliance, he argued, a tremor entering his voice. Despite himself, we have much to offer your presence. Here, Ambassador, is a courtesy. Itx continuitis, voice dropping to a hiss, an opportunity to witness your last mistake. For Timothy could respond, he heareth, echoing footsteps of guards Marcanginto. The hall there, black armor reflecting the sterile light, they surrounded him, their faces hidden beneath sleek opaque visors. What is the meaning of this? Timothy demanded. Thoas' voice faltered. Ifix looked at him with something close to pity. Your kinkling. To peace talks, to diplomacy, it holds any true power. This is the truth, Ambassador. Hold humanity is fragile, a species overreaching its placing the stars. You were summoned here not for negotiation, but for your execution, a message to the Alliance. Timothy's heart sank as he looked around, searching for any sign of mercy or reason in the alien faces surrounding him. Please, you don't they've to do this, he said, voice hoarse. This will bring nothing but war. War is the Empire's natural state, Ambassador. Yorkin's existence disrupts that order today. It ends. Elix raised his hand, and with a chilling finality, he nodded. Tuthguards, they stepped forward, weapons drawn, and without hesitation executeth helpless Diplomat. His body crumpled to the ground, and a thick silence filled the hall, broken only by Ix's murmured words. Transmit this image to the human alliance. Let them know the cost of defiance. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral John Harker stared at the screen in horror. Transmission ended. The figure of his old friend, Timothy Holt, lying lifeless in the cold foreign floor, filled him with a rage he hadn't felt in years. He clenched his fists, his jaw taut as heffled. Every ounce of the betrayal, through him, he trusted the Empire's words had advocated for this peace summit, believing, if foolishly, that the Empire might be willing to change. No more, he muttered, voice barely above a whisper. No more tolerance, no more waiting behind him. The command room buzzed with silence as officers watched. Leader seeing the shift in his demeanor, as his all-hardened Harker turned to his team, eyes blazing with fury. Get the council together. We have a message to send back. He looked at the screen once more, a final moment of silent tribute to his fallen friend. The Empire wants war, then we'll bring Thamon. They'll never forget. The transmission ended, but the memory of that image remained seared in his mind, a vivid reminder of the price they paid and the greater price they'd soon demand in return. Admiral John Harker stood at the center of the Human Alliance's War Council chamber. His gaze steady but dark, holding back the simmering fury threatened to spill over the image of his friend. Ambassador Timothy Hall, lying dead on that alien floor, replayed in his mind, a burning wound etched into his memory. Around him, the chamber buzzed with tension as his fellow Commanders Represent and Defense Minister took their seats, their faces drawn with shock and outrage. Timothy's brutal assassination had shaken them all. For Harker, it was not only a loss of a friend, but a call to arms. The room fell silent as the last council members settled in their faces. Reflecting the mixture of horror and anger, they all assured Harker cleared his throat, allowing a moment to let the silence settle before speaking. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have been left with no choice," he began, his voice firm, every word laced with conviction. Ambassador Holwas, sent in peace, he was one of orphanness, an advocate for diplomacy for reason, and for his efforts the Empire offered nothing but betrayal and murder. A murmur of agreement rippled to the council. Though the undertone was more than agreement, it was anger, barely restrained. Some of these leaders have been skeptical of the Empire from the beginning, and now their worst fears have been confirmed. One of the council members, Commander Elias Branson, leaned forward, his face hard. "Admiral, I don't need to tell you that we have no precedent for war on this scale. The Myers forces are more advanced than ours, and their resources nearly limitless. If we declare war, we risk annihilation." Harker's eyes met Branson's unwavering. "Commander, I understand the risks. I have reviewed every possible outcome, every potential consequence, but alternative is to continue a Pasinga regime that sees humanity as vermin. If they are willing to kill a diplomat, then human life is safe. We cannot let fair dictate our response." Across the table, Defense Minister Anton Reeve, an older man with a history of caution, spoke up, his tone measured but resolute. "They have given us an ultimatum. Admiral, submit or destroyed. Our only answer is to assist to fight for our survival, or we will watch our people live as slaves, or worse." Harker nodded, relieved to have Reeve's support. He glanced around the room, letting his gaze fall on each face. In turn, he knew these men and women, wealthy, were seasoned leaders, battle-hardened, pragmatic. Yet beneath the surface heckled sense, their uncertainty. Some or few may think this is madness. Harker continued, his voice rising slightly. "Perhaps it is, but history has shown you sat peace achieved through submissionness. No peace at all. The Empire does not negotiate, they dominate. They see humanity as a threat to their rule, and for that they will not rest until we are broken, scattered, and enslaved." He could see the resolve strengthening in their faces, some of them nodding as his words resonated still. Others held back, visibly turned, fearing the consequences of an all-out war with an opponent so powerful. Any objections could arise. Harker pressed on, his voice steady, unwavering. "Have built alliances, forged relationships with other species who are equally oppressed by the Empire. This isn't just a war for our own survival, a war to end the tyranny that has plagued this galaxy for centuries. If we unite, we have a chance to create a new future, one where humanity and our allies stand as equals." For a moment, silence fell over the room, heavy and thick with weight of the decision. Before them, each of them knew the gravity of his choice, the lives that would be lost, through worlds that would be forever changed. Harker felt his heartbeat echo in the stillness, a quiet but resolute drumbeat shooting him forward. Finally, Branson broke the silence, his voice low but resolute. "If we go to war, Admiral Wilb, waging it not just for humanity, but for every species the Empire has suppressed, we will have to prepare people for a fight, the likes of which we'd have never seen." Harker nodded. "Then we will prepare them. I'll see to it personally." He turned toward his communications officer standing at attention near the wall. "Transmit this message across the system." Harker ordered, his voice filled with a calm determination. "Let every member of the Alliance know we're at war." The officer nodded, his face set with the same grim resolve that Harker felt burning inside him, and moved to carry out the order. As the council members began to stand there, murmurs carrying a sense of finality, Harker felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see Defense Minister Reeve, his eyes somber but resolute. "You understand, Admiral, that this war will cost us more than we can imagine," Reeve said quietly. You've made the right call, but it may be the last choice we have left. Harker held his gaze unflinching. Then so be it, Minister Edratherface. Annihilation fighting forower. Freedom then live under the Impura Shadow with a final nod. Reeve released his shoulder, stepping back to join their council. Members who were already filing out Harker watched them go, his heart heavy but resolute, knowing that declaration they had made today would alter the course of humanity forever. As he turned toward the comm station, he allowed himself one last thought. Of Timothy, they took one of our best, he thought, his fist clenching. Now Thiel, see what it means to awaken a united humanity. And with that, Admiral Harker took his place at the center, off command, ready to lead his people to a war that would define their future. Admiral John Harker watched the display screen as his elite strike for Sokotum. Delta Team prepared to deploy their first mission, since the decor off for the target was Station Zeta, a critical Empire outpost on the fringe off their territory, armed to the teeth and guarded by a battalion of alien soldiers. Capturing this station would give humanity a foothold and strike the Empire where it hurt. Harker took a deep breath, mentally rehearsing the plan. Ash keyed into the CALs to address the team. Delta Team, you know what's at stake here. Station Zeta is one of the Empire's main supply hubs. If we take it, we cut off their fuel supply in this sector. The Empire thinks we're weak, that we're devoted. Let's show them what it means. To underestimate. Humanity Commander Alex Grant's voice crackled over the channel. Admiral, we'll make it quick. Harker nodded, his faith in Grant unwavering. Grant was one of the best soldiers in the Alliance, a combat-hardened veteran with a reputation for ruthless efficiency and a personal vendetta. Against the Empire, he lost his entire family to one of their purges years ago, and his resolve was still vengeance. The strike team preparedo launch. Harker's gaze shifted to Lieutenant David Sinclair, the team's tech specialist, standing beside Grant, his fingers anxiously flexing over his console. Fresh out of advanced training, Sinclair was eager to prove himself on his skills with alien tech made him invaluable. The entire crew was a mixture of hardened veterans and young talent, united by the common purpose of vengeance and survival. Stay sharp, Sinclair, Grant muttered, noticing the young man's tense expression. Will be in and out before you know it. Just stick tough. Plan. The lights dimmed in the dropship as it made its final approach, slipping past the Empire's perimeter sensors. Cloaked in the darkness of Space Station Zeta loomed ahead a cold, angular monolith, dotted with eerie green light sand, armored by layers of alien metal. Asti neared the dropship's engine silenced to avoid detection, and the team braced for impact. Within moments, the ship docked and the hatch is open. Delta Team moved in swift, calculated steps, securing the entryway before dispersing through the dimly lit corridors of the Empire Station. The atmosphere was tense, each team member's movements synchroned and silent as Claire Locateth control room and override their security systems. Grant ordered, we need full access to the stations. Grid. Sinclair nodded, his fingers flying over his console as he hacked into the Empire's encrypted systems. Almost there, whispered a hint of excitement, edging his voice. I've got it. Control rooms 3 levels down, East Wing aisle. Disable internal sensors as we move. Grant's team quickly clearing each corridor with precision, taking out alien guards with silent strikes. They worked with deadly efficiency, advancing deeper into the hub of the station. For a moment, it seemed as though the mission would goof without a hitch, but just as they reached the control room, a high-pitched alarm blared through the station, casting red emergency lights along the walls. Sinclair's face paled as he checked his console. I don't know how, but they detected us. Reinforcements are on the way. Then we don't have time to be subtle, Grant replied, pulling his pulse rifle from his shoulder. Everyone ready up. We hold this position until we've secured with intel. The hall filled with the sound of heavy boots as the Empire's guard stormed toward them. A fierce firefight erupted, energy rounds flashing through the air as Delta Team took cover behind metal consoles. Alien soldiers poured into the room, their armor gleaming under the red lights as they deadly. Harker monitored the battle from his command station, tension knotting his stomach as he watched Grant's team fight to hold their ground. He clenched his fists, willing them to succeed. This mission was their only shot, a decisive first strike back on the station. Sinclair focused on down Lenathy, encrypted data from the Empire systems. His hands shook, sweat trickling down his brow as he worked furiously. The sounds of battle echoing Around him, just a few more seconds, I almost have it, he shouted, ducking as a blast scorched the console beside him. Make it. Quick, Sinclair, Grant yelled, firing into the oncoming wave of soldiers. Finally, Sinclair's console beeped. Got it, he shouted, pulling the drive from the system. Grant nodded. All units pull back to extraction point. Now they moved as on it, finding their way back down Theka riders. As alien reinforcements Skonton 2 swarmed the station, the atmosphere grew thick with smoke and ash. Tang of burning metal. As Delta Team cut a path through the onslaught, Asti neared the extraction point. A final group of alien soldiers blocked their way, their weapons raised in deadly precision. Grant stepped forward, a fierce determination lighting his eyes. Sinclair, get to the ship aisle. Hold them, sir. I go, Grant ordered, raising his rifle and charging forward, drawing the enemy's fire as the rest of the team scrambled to the ship. Sinclair and Theothers leaped aboard just as Grant fell back, sprinting through the closing doors. With a deep, heaving breath, the dropship tashed, speeding away from the Stachinus. Grant collapsed onto the Dechex Halcyon in his every movement. Harker's voice crackled over the comfield with the grim satisfaction of victory. Delta Team, you've done it. You've retrieved its blueprint. Fourth, Empire's next offensive. This war just turned in our favor. Grant looked at his team, bruised and weary, but alive, a faint, weary smile breaking through his grim expression. We're just getting started, Admiral, he replied in Thessalons that followed. The team felt, through it, of what they'd accomplished. It was a small victory in the vastness of war, but it was theirs, and it was only the beginning. Admiral John Harker survived. Holographic map flickering bore him, his mind racing as heist the movements of both the Human Alliance forces and the Empire's fleet's Delta Team's successful raid on Station Zeta had given them access to crucial intel details of the Empire Strategus Week, points in their defenses and the locations of key outposts across their sector. This knowledge had given humanity a fighting chance. Now it'd waste time to exploit that advantage. Basidium Commander Alex Grant studied the hologram with grim focus. The recent victory had invigorated his spirit. Buth understood that they had only scratched the surface. This war would demand more, and he was ready to give it. Faces of his team came to mind: Sinclair, Reeves, Dalton. All soldiers who had fought, bled, and survived by a very successful strike only fueled their resolve, and now the Alliance was poised to strike the Empire where it would hurt most. Admiral, it's time we use Seth's intel to push forward. Grant's satis voice, steady but intense. We've been in the defensive long enough. We have the coordinates for the Empire's forward command center. If we can take that wheel sever their coordination across the entire quadrant. Hard eyes narrowed, mind whirling through Thepis abilities. A bold move, Commander. The Empire Center will be heavily defiedly. Won't let us get close without a fight. Grant nodded, a fierce glint in his eye. That's why we'll strike from 2 fronts. We use a decoy fleet to draw their attention away from the command center. When their forces are diverted, we hit them with everything we've got. Harker considered the plan, a faint smile of approval playing on his lips. Risky, but it could work. The Empire relies on their command structure on absolute control. If we disrupt that, they'll At that moment, Lieutenant David Sinclair entered the room, his expression tense but resolute. Admiral Commander, have gone to the data from Zeta Station again. The Empire's communication channels show increased chatter trooper locations. They're preparing for something big. It's now or never if we want to catch them off guard. Harker's gaze settled on the young officer, impressed by the resolve in his voice. Good work, Lieutenant. This mission 6 will rely on precision and courage, if you're up for it. Sinclair went you to lead the tech team for this operation. Sinclair swallowed a mixed tear off, pride and anxiety in his eyes. Yes, Siri won't let you down. Harker nodded, his voice softening slightly. Preparations and briefings. Harker's orders echoed through the comms, rallying squadrons and aligning them with the diversionary fleet. The tension was palpable. Every soldier and officer that this mission could be the one that turned the tide of the war. The fleet deployed in coordinated waves with decoy ships. Jumping first, Designato draw the Empire's forces into a calculated trap. Finally, the Comithi main fleet, led by Harker's flagship, Resolute, advanced toward the Empire's command center, a colossal fortress bristling with defense systems and surrounded by an armada of ships. The decoy fleet had done its job. Many of the Empire's defenses had already shifted toward the diversion commander. Grant Harker's voice came over the comm. Comboat filled with intensity, all ships arraign. Pause. Position your clear for the assault. Copy that, Admiral Grant responded. He turned to his strike. Team assembled and ready, their expressions reflected a grim determination. This isn't Delta team. The Empire thinks they're invincible. Let's show them what a united humanity can do. With a nod, the team boarded their dropship, and moments later, they were streaking toward Thecaman Center. As they approached, indomitable locked onto them bolts of energy. Firing and blazing arcs, Delta team dodged through the barrage and orally, avoiding annihilation as theirs toward the station's docking bay. Dropship slammed onto the deck, and Delta team poured out their weapons. Ready, they encountered immediate resistance. Empire soldiers in sleek black armor, weapons trained on them. The ensuing firefight was brutal, energy blast flashing through the air as Grant held his team through the chaos. Each step forward came at a price, but they pushed on, determined to reach the heart of the station. Sinclair, locate the main control room. Grant barked over the noise, loading his weapon as he covered his teammates' advance. Sinclair scanned his fingers flying over the controls. Got it. It's up ahead, third door on the left. The team pressed forward, clearing each corridor with ruthless efficiency, and finally briefed the control room. Inside, a massive console filled with alien symbols and holographic displays dominated the space. Sinclair set to work immediately, hacking into the Empire's command network, while Grant and the others held off waves of reinforcements pouring in from the halls. Seconds ticked by, each one a lifetime scenario, furiously typed bipping of alien encryption. Finally, his console beeped, and he looked up, triumphing his face. I'm in. Their entire command grid is under our control. Grant grinned, wiping sweat from his brow. Good work. Sinclair shut down their comms. Disable their targeting systems, and let's get out of here with a few funnel keystrokes. Sinclair executed Thecaman's, the Empire's command center was plunged into chaos as their systems went offline. Communication channels severed and weapon controls frozen through Thoth sector. Their ships faltered and corded, and vulnerable as Delta team retreated to the extraction. We breached the Empire's defense. Their fleets are collapsing. It's working. Grant allowed himself a moment of satisfaction as they boarded the dropship. Feeling the weight of victory settling over him, they dealt a crippling blow to the Empire, a blow that would echo throughout the galaxy. For the first time since the war began, humanity had the advantage as a dropship lifted a fan. The Resolute hailed their approach. Grant looked back at the distant station, watching as explosions erupted across its surface. They had struck the Empire at its core and survived to tell Tali. But he knew this was only the beginning, a hard-won battle in a much larger war, a war that they were now determined to win.